Are we live? We live. Let's check here. YouTube we're live. TikTok we're not good. Good. Do you know? Just give a second because I'm 4 minutes late because I was adjusting the screen size. Sorry. Right. How do I want to get rid of that. I don't want to be there. Hello, Shane. How are you? I'm good. I'm very good. I've currently just read a post by Fortress of Lou, um, who does a great YouTube channel where he deep dives into a lot of topics, and I have to say I do find this stuff very interesting. But he recently put out a post about the Red Hand, and hi Mike, hi. It was hard for me to find the live stream. Do you not get a notification? Hello, Lukey. How are you doing? Turn your bell notifications on. um, but it's always 9 o'clock, so just type in Clans and Dynasties and it should come up around 9. Oh, what? No, actually, Michael, it wasn't you. I was 4 minutes late. So if you were typing in around 9 o'clock, because I was adjusting the screen size. So yeah, that probably. Hi, Kat. Yeah, so I was adjusting screen size. So, oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm just waffling here. While I was just saying, I've just seen. I don't know if any of you follow Fortress of Lou or Lugged, depending on your pronunciation. But he does deep dives into like Celtic history. I think he just did a video about Ogham stones, which was very interesting. It's not an area of expertise of mine, but I thought it was pretty good from what I got to watch of it. He's done one about the origins of the Gaels. It's pretty good. But he recently did a post about the. No worries, Cat. Thank you for stopping by. Pancakes came up. Yeah, I pronounce it Lou, but I know that some people would pronounce it Lug. Uh, so I just depending on your pronunciation is depending on how you'll find that channel. Anyway, he did a video about the Red Hand of Ulster. Not a video, a post about the Red Hand of Ulster. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of the most famous legend. Tells of a boat race between two rival princes, and they're vying for the throne of a kingdom, Ulster. And the rule is the contestants, whoever's hand touches the shore of Loch Ness on the opposite land first would win the crown. And seeing the progenitor of the Neil, seeing that he was, his boat was trailing behind. He cuts off his hand and with a sword and hurls it across the shore, thereby securing the kingdom. And it's the victorious princes, depending on the legends, everything, you have multiple people, Roderick, Paul, or John, or there's a few of these accounts. But obviously, most of you who followed this channel waffles. Okay. The adoption of the Red Hand by the O'Neills was, actually an actual deliberate propaganda campaign, during the Gaelic revival. and it started being used as sort of a heraldic device in around 1350. Um, and the O'Neills were doing this to assert their kingship over Ulster, and to assume the prerogatives of the old Anglo-Norman earldom of Ulster. So, um, um, yes, so I always think about that tale and then realize that a lot of the other Irish myth tales, you can't rule with a physical blemish. Cutting your damn hand off seems like a blemish. That is a very valid point. And any of you who know about Conglach, king of the Dalnaraja, one of the things that he is disallowed to inherit or take the kingdom of Tara, or the kingship of Tara, due to a supposed bee sting in the eye. So he was half blind, Conglach, half blind. So we have multiple accounts of kings being not allowed to rule because they have blemishes. But we also have kings who did have blemishes. So it seems to be one rule for one and another rule for another. But certainly, if it's going to be an origin story, he got a waiver. Yeah, exactly. It's definitely one rule for one and another rule for another. But I would say that what makes it stand out, from your point, is that it's an origin. It's a propaganda piece. So why would you allow such a thing to happen with? Why would you allow it to be sort of the main story? But I never actually, I've never actually thought of that until you brought it up. So that's, hang on, I'm just turning this off. Hang on, let me just hit that like button. Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks, Kat, as always. Yeah, so yeah, what were we saying? I can't even remember where I was. Oh yeah, so yeah, it's totally fried my brain now, that point. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, like we were saying, so we had the O'Neills were adopting it in the 1350s. They were taking it from the earldom of Ulster. Yet there's obviously a lot of families that would have it in their coats of arms down south. The Flahertys have it. There's a Norman family that adopted it as well outside the Burrs, but they actually have the opposite hand. They actually have the left hand instead of the right hand. I haven't read into the meaning of that. Whether it actually has a story behind it. The Devaney's, that's it. The Devaney's have it on the thing. But yeah, but obviously, so the O'Neills adopted in the 1350s. But we actually, when I was remembering about this and looking into it a while back, there's actually a really funny story that links Scotland and Ireland into this. Is that the so-called prestigious red hand, that centuries later, like families would actually start fighting over it and debating over who was the rightful users of this hand. And there's actually a famous poem written around 1690, the famous year for everyone in Ulster, called "The Contention of the Red Hand." And So you had a few poets were writing pieces, sort of counter arguing, like the proto Facebook posts, where someone would write something and then 2 hours later another person would write something, and you have Dermot McWard, who argues that the Red Hand obviously rightfully belongs to the Clandy Boy O'Neills. Or the McGuinness Seps of County Down. He kind of argues that they're the two individuals that are entitled to use this. But Niall McMurray replied to them both and sort of says, actually, it's the MacDonalds who have the rightful use of the Red Hand, claiming their right to the Red Hand due to their descent from the Three Colours. So I found it very interesting that Fortress of Lu's post mentioning its origins and the supposed stories behind it and the linkage to the O'Neills, and yet just about every family that has a link to Ulster has been arguing about this for 800 years. I've got a huge question. I'm researching the surname Knowles. Y-DNA amongst a bunch of McKeegans. I find some information about the O'Nolans in Lusma. I've also information about the O'Nolans being hooligans of the Ivina. Does this seem right to you? I mean, Nolans to Knowles. Hang on, let me just make sure I've got that right. Yeah, Nolans to Knowles is a bit of a stretch linguistically. There's no reason I can find that a family would condense a name like that. Being and there's two Houlihan Seps as well. There's a Ivina, the Ivina Seps down in Galway may actually be from Ulster. I was led to believe that DNA results may suggest an Ulster link, and I believe they also have origin stories of being, well, Norsemen, Norse Vikings, and of Ulster descent. But my knowledge of DNA is not that well researched. I don't really research DNA because I have found too many conflicting information, too many conflicting DNA research groups, papers. It's sort of every time a new, every time a sort of families get more information, they change the whole thing, and it rewrites history. Every post or papers, it's rewriting history, and I think DNA, to a large part, is still in its infancy when it comes to not to what the scientists are able to determine, but just with what they're able to determine with what information they have. They don't have all that much Irish. I'm speaking from the Irish point of view here, and a lot of family groups will state this too, is that they have thousands of Americans, people from the diaspora, Canada, etc., who are taking DNA results, but they're not getting many people from Ireland taking these DNA results. So I know that causes a problem as well. So I'm not that well versed on DNA research, and that's purely because I'm just not ready to accept the findings of some of the supposed family groups that are pointing to certain origin points. And I can't argue against them until I know more, until other families have produced far better results. So yeah, but as for Knowles, I've got to say my knowledge of the Knowles is that they were English. I don't know of an Irish sect of Knowles. There's where are you sort of saying you think? I'm trying to think if there's any branches in, because Knowles is in Ulster and Cork. They're the two areas that the family sells, and they're not on this map. Hang on, let me check something here. Let me see. I'll check my notes. I have pretty much every Irish surname stored on this. Let's check my notes. While I'm checking that, the McGuinness and about 4% of Scottish cluster are Ullid. Irish, we came against Margaret Parton from Argyll and from around 200 AD. You need to just study your own Y-DNA. I've been seeing history being rewritten according to genetics and known history. Yeah. Do get a Y700 test. I'm okay. No, I don't have anything on the O'Nolan's, how you've spelled it. Nothing at all. Obviously, we've got the County Carlow Nolans, which is with an N instead of a K. I'll have to do some looking into that, Trex, because I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of it at all. So I'll have to. Gibbons. Gibbons is the actual proper spelling of Gibson. It's from the son of Gibbon. So Gibbon is a Norman name, I believe. It's found in. Hang on. So you have it coming across from Scotland with the plantations. You have it found in the East Coast. But Gibbon is just another variation. It's the original form of Gibson. I was doing a thing on them before, but I haven't got it here to hand. I was looking in my folder. I was doing a. I might have it in here. I might not have it on that. I may have it in here. Come on, load up, will you? Is it this one? No, that's McAllister. Here we go. Yeah. Here you go. Right. I'm actually just going to read this because I wrote this out for a project that I'm doing. So it's a personal name for son of Gilbert. Several Highland clans have been recognised have septs: Clan Campbell, Clan Buchanan, Clan Macmillan. Found in significant numbers in Perthshire, and sometimes recorded as McGibbon or McGibbon. Obviously, introduced to the province of Ulster primarily during the Scottish Plantation in the 17th century. Heavily concentrated in County Antrim. And then you have the Gillivane, which is a Connacht family, but it's often anglicised to Gibson, and the territory was in County Roscommon. But there's no real history about them. But there you go. So that's a very summarized version of a project I'm working on. I have basically a big A4 paper written of information, but most of it isn't really relevant to you as an individual. So, yeah, I'm currently, I don't know if I can get it onto here. I'm currently writing out all the histories of Irish families so people can have a hard copy. Not the generic online rubbish you see. So that was just a wee couple of words from it, but it's a massive piece filled with information. So hi David, hi Murray, how are we doing? Never go on percents. They have me at 98% South Central, despite my German speaking grandmother. The last version has me at 71% Irish, 98% to 71%, same DNA sample. The difference was software upgrade. Trex, I will look into it, I promise, and find out what more information I can find. But based on what I have off the top of my head and a quick search of my files, and I have nothing. Are the McQuarries and the Maguires related? No. The Maguires are from the Fermanagh. They are. It's not going to let me move this. Let me see here. Why does that not let me click that? So that they are part of the Ergiela of southeast Ulster, and the McQuarries are, Scottish Highland clan. So they're not related. There's no. I don't know of any evidence of Maguires or McQuarries adopting the Maguire surname. Because the McQuarries is, if it's changing to forms, it normally becomes like McCory or McGorry. It doesn't go to Maguire. So they're not related. I worked with an old newspaper in Maine. He had a sports writer. I was a copy editor. Lucas Moll's probably sports writer in Portland, Maine now. Yeah, Knowles they get around. There's a lot of them. I'm not sure if his haplogroup, not passing question. Corcoran descend from the Fermanagh sept and are related close to current Orange Kingdom. Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about the Corcorans before. And I actually recently found so the Corcorans there was a Corcoran. We've discussed about how the family were pushed out of Fermanagh, but some of them did stay. We have there's actually a record of a Corcoran being one of the so in the plantations of Ulster in the 17th century, there were obviously 90% of land was distributed to uh, uh, undertakers and planters, and but there were large segments of Ulster that were, especially in the south, that were granted to Irishmen. Now, what happened was is that the Irish families received obviously a significantly smaller portion. They were only given in 3 allotment plots. They could have, I think it was, 10, 50, or 100 acres, whereas the undertakers and planters were being given hundreds, if not thousands, of acres. And that was purposely to break up the power of the Gaelic, the native Gaelic. So, but there was one Corcoran who was granted land in Fermanagh. I think he was given, I can't remember how many acres he was given. It wasn't a lot, but he was given some land during the plantations of Ulster. I'll see if I can get. Oh, for goodness sake. How's if I can spell? I'll get up in a bit. 19. We got squeezed out of mayor. We were only allowed to own 19.5 acres, which is what we owned. Yeah, was it 19.5? I don't remember it being 19.5. I'll have to look back at it. Can you tell me anything about the Raffertys? The only thing I think I know is maybe they're from up Sligo. Yeah, I mean, there's a few. So the Raffertys of Ulster are a part of the Erchiela. It won't let me go there. Right. Can I? Oh, I can. Right. Yeah. So they're part of the Erchiela. So the thing you've got to remember with the Erchiela is that they are not all related. It's a confederation. So there's Carrolls, there's McMahons, and these groups are not genetically related in the sense of coming from the same paternal ancestor. They do try to obviously write and change their history to state that they are, which is standard practice for most Irish families. We've covered that many a time about the propaganda of Irish families. I don't like to really use the term propaganda, I suppose. What I like is to say storytelling, because we Irish have a long history of storytelling, and I think it's just a bit of old yarn. It's it's like anyone with an Irish grandparent will tell you it's hard work to get your granddad to shut up. I think it's just that, but in written form. But yes, there's another. I don't know if they're related, but very famously, the O'Rafferty, O'Roberty of Donegal. I believe there is a Facebook page dedicated to this group. Because there's an individual who's a descendant and claims to have paperwork going right back to the medieval period of links to this family. So it's often translated to Rorty or Roberty, but sometimes anglicized to Rafferty. And then you were saying about the Sligo branch. Was it the Sligo branch you were related to? Again, I believe they're from a place called Screen, and they're associated with the Ephraim, but I do not know if they have any kings, any early sort of attestation. I don't remember reading about them in the annals. So they're probably a small surname, a local family, rather than being part of the wider kingship. But if they are of the Ephraim, if they are genetically related to the Ephraim, you would be related to groups like the O'Dowds. Fermanagh Habu, yes, they did. They broke away from the Archela Confederation in the 10th century. They certainly did, and founded their own kingdom. So, for those that aren't aware, the Kingdom of Archela, or the Federation of Archela, sort of stretches. I don't know. I can't move this blooming thing left and right. I don't know why. It's annoying me. Is there a button I'm meant to click on this move tool? Have I got something highlighted? Yeah, but it took over the south and the sort of Midlands of Ulster, and then with the Fermanagh sort of were influenced by the migrations of the Aeneal. The Aeneal put pressure on the Ullage. They put pressure on the Archellans, and they put pressure on the Maguires. But they were also having pressure from Breffner as well. So, they ended up splitting away and forming a very powerful border of country that had to jostle between a very aggressive O'Neill to the north and a very aggressive O'Rourke to the south. They did a pretty good job. Fir Aled. Yes, the Fir Aled, the true Ulsterman, a title adopted by the Dal na Raja to counter the Dal Fiatach's claim to being the true Ulsterman. And anyone that has followed the channel for a long time will know that I support the Dal Fiatach's claim to the true Ulsterman. O'Reillys, yeah, we've covered it. I have a video on the O'Reillys. The O'Reillys are a sept of a branch, cadet branch of the O'Rourkes, and they ruled East Breffner. Sometimes they ruled West Breffner, where the O'Rourkes were as well. Sometimes they were ruled by the O'Rourkes. It changed from century to century. The O'Rourkes, I tend to find, if you read the annals, if you read the O'Rourke history, you will see they are a very aggressive family. And Pat MacDonald, my great-great-grandfather Francis MacDonald, served during World War I and fought on the Western Front. He won a Victoria Cross. His regiment was the South Staffs. He wore his kill. That's very interesting, Caveman. To have a Victoria Cross member in your family as well is. I remember in my regiment, you're in the officers, not just in the officers' mess, but in your GHQ, in your BHQ, sorry, battalion headquarters. We have obviously. The walls are lined with the VCs of recipients of your regiments, or your not just your regiment. It can be your ancestor regiments too, because I don't know if it works the same way in America, but in Great Britain, The regiments are most regiments have a link to a regiment formed during the sort of 17th, 18th century. But over time, these would be merged together. So you would have the Ulster Rifles and the Enniskillen Fusiliers, who would then merge together for whatever reason. Normally, sometimes during wars, whenever both regiments would be decimated, they would merge together to form one regiment. For logistic reasons, for recruitment reasons. But any VC recipients in those two regiments, the new regiment will take them on as sort of, as their own, because they are seen as part of the same history. Because Sláinte, how are you doing, Kevin? Well, that's if he has the VC. It'd be very interesting to read. It'd be very easy to find. I think all VC recipients have wiki pages, so it'd be very interesting to see. This is verbatim the info I got. Between the kennel main of Westmeath and Tipperary, it was home to the O'Houlihan's, also called the Silamaker. Yeah. Hang on. In the USA, that is a personal award. No, they don't. They claim it as part of their heritage. They claim it as part of their. So the recipient. It's almost like an American football player or soccer player winning an MVP award. The football team would then say, we have won, 20 MVP awards in our history. So yeah, they're not literally claiming it. Anyway, see, that's true, Trex. That's true. The hooligans are found in Munster and Tipperary in County Clare, claiming to be descendant of the Dalcash. But the Coulahan name isn't, which is who you've stated there, the McCoolahans. They're a separate family. They're not. They're not related, to my knowledge. They're a totally different family. So I'm a little bit. If you could supply a source, I will look into this a bit more detail. I tell you, if you really want a good view, go to about the hooligans. Go to Clans of Ireland, the YouTube channel Clans of Ireland. They did a talk on the Hooligan family, because they were a very interesting talk on the Hooligan family. So the Hooligans are found in the border regions of County Clare, and I can't remember which border. I probably north, but Tipperary's here, so maybe the east. Anyway, and they charge people. The reason they managed to get their wealth is they were a main route on the way to a pilgrimage site. So they used to charge people to traverse that path to the pilgrimage site. But go to Clans of Ireland. and they have a discussion on the Hooligans. But I also, you can message me. Uh, you can message the Facebook page. I'm probably more active on the Facebook page than I am on Instagram. And if you message the Clans&Dynasties Facebook page, I will share all my notes, all my sources happily, or I'll cross-reference the sources you have, and I'll let you know if they're um, fact or not. uh, Pender census. Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, I'll definitely be looking into them after this live. 100%. Leo Nolans. My grandfather's third cousin Matthew Murphy received a distinguished flying cross by King George in 1943. Interesting. Uh, Although I have a lot of family that served right up into, we've got traceable family serving in the military, um, all the way to well, the 1800s. None of them received anything distinguishable. uh, Caveman's just families just collecting Victoria Crosses like their Pokemon cards. MacLachlan derives from the Gaelic MacLachlan, translating to the son of the Viking or son of the Scandinavian. No, that's incorrect. MacLachlan is a variation of the Irish surname Lachlan, or the Gaelic surname. Sorry, I shouldn't be so specific and not tying it down to one of the Gaelic speaking countries. But Lachlan actually translates to lands of the lakes, lands of the fjords, which has been later translated again to mean son of a Viking, son of, because Scandinavia. But there is a debate where Lachlan was. So Lachlan was the term used to land of lakes, a term used to describe where the Vikings came from in early annal sources. But the problem is we don't actually know where that's referring to, because it could be that they were referring to Scotland uh, whenever the Vikings obviously hit Scotland first before they hit Ireland, and then had winter bases along the Outer Hebrides. So are they referring to Scotland, or are they referring to Norway? But regardless, uh, people have picked that up afterwards and went, "Oh, it means son of the Viking." I think Higgins is the only name that translates to son of a Viking, or and Houlihan, I believe, is meant to be son of a pirate. I think Murphy is son of a sea battler. All of these are then attributed to Viking families, even though there's little to no evidence of that. Um, Hi all, just watching the Champions League, so don't know if the start or the end. That's right, Dennis. uh, um, yeah, so yeah, the McLaughlins are of Scots or Irish descent. There may be some, although I do agree there may be some paternally linked Norse descent families. It's certainly not reflected in their surname. and the spelling of it. Or anyone, most of that information comes from later sources. Um, are there Michael D. Higgins is a son of Viking? Yes. Are there any known Scottish McKeown steps? My ancestors were Protestant. I know they could have come first. Just curious. Yeah, obviously. I always tell people to err on the side of caution when using a family's religion as a claim to being uh, a specific from a specific group of people, Scots or whatever, because like you stated there, uh, yeah, families did convert and had quite a long period to convert. So um, yeah, so it's a risky thing to do, but there are there are Scottish McKeowns because it obviously comes from Mac Owen, and Owen's a very popular name. It's mostly it's mostly anglicised to McEwen in Scotland. Um, so the McEwen or just Ewan, um, and it's I think it's associated with a lot of families, around the um, uh, around like Galloway and Ayrshire and those sort of typical areas of Highland families. But most Ulster McEwens, from what I'm led to believe, but obviously DNA further testing, are said to be Irish, of Irish origin. Um, but yes, there are Scottish ones. We were told they got the medal because they survived the war. Are we? But the Victoria Cross? Nobody gets the Victoria Cross for just surviving the war. Actually, the casualty rate for British soldiers, and the amount in comparison to um, everyone else during the World War II, um, was relatively low. World War One, I'm not sure on. Um, Very, very few Murphys are Scandinavian white haplogroups, very few negligible. And I would say it's the same with a lot of families who claim or whose later traditions state that they have Viking descent. Um, Viking DNA in the paternal line had a very small imprint in Ireland. Obviously, there was intermarriages, so you're going to have probably some MT DNA in there. But overall, Viking inverted commas DNA had a small imprint in comparison, especially to some of the larger migration groups we had into Ireland. You son of a Viking, Michael. No, Doyles are not of Viking descent. Unfortunately, we are just people who moved into Viking towns. It's no different to having a name that references a job title like Smith, or Butler. No, we're just Irish people that moved into towns for work, and then either were given that name or took on that name. So my family has never sat still in one place anyway, so I fair believe it. It's genetic. What family say they had a strong Spanish descent? I know it's mythical, but did they all go in on that? All of them, yes. Now, I thought you were referencing the Spanish Armada, the Black Irish. The only family I'm aware of that leans into that myth is the Mulcrones in Mayo or Connacht. But they don't have an established history really anyway. The Milesian myth was adopted by everyone, not necessarily um, not not necessarily adopted by them in the initial sense when it was first sort of concocted, um, but it was foisted on them regardless of whether they partook in that sort of narrative or not. The church kind of just stamped it into the nation's sort of origins, and would just write families into it regardless if they felt like they wanted to join in on this. They were just being written into records as being of Milesian descent, or whatever category. So and then it became very politically advantageous to keep these titles of descent as as it with the same with being an Neil, same with being an O'Nocht, these having this sort of prestige attributed to you is beneficial whenever trying to advance your political gains, whether to become king or whatever. Yeah, that is why you test Y-DNA, not mtDNA. Y-DNA traces fathers to fathers. Yeah, and I had I think I mentioned this before, but I had someone really sort of lay into me one time about the fact that I only covered, this was, oh God, must be about a year ago, only covered males and men. And this has nothing to do with the live that we did the other day with Philip and Owen. We are of, agreement that women aren't represented enough in Irish history. But at the time, they were very, very vocal about the fact that I was only covering males and male lines in my videos, etc., etc. And I had to sort of politely sort of say to them that for the majority of Irish history, surnames have passed on from father to son. So it's only natural that most of my interest in history will cover men. It's nothing to do with not wanting to share the history of women. It's just, the vast majority of individuals who hold their surname are men, because eventually women marry and then they take on their husband's surname. So, yeah. One of my nephew's names is Go Forth. I thought it sounded quite noble. It is an old travel. It is an old traveling worker's name. Still cool for Go Forth. Yeah. Black Irish. Yeah, it's a myth. Black Irish is just it's not a thing. It's the links to Spain are mythological, no, they're a blend of myth and possibly ancient memory, but you're talking Bronze Age memory, not nothing in recent history. That's all they wrote is history. Yes, exactly, Maureen. 100% fact. It is unfortunate uh, um, that it has turned out that way. We're just very blessed that we had some great women figures in Irish history in the modern era that were well recorded. I want to learn more about Maeve and the 30 Men a Night, a great Irish queen. One for the people, by the sounds of it. As long as it was consensual and they were happy and she was happy, I'm saying nothing. Although it sounds like slander to me, I'm not really aware of that statement. And I'm very, very careful not to lean into anything like that written about women, especially from the point of view of a monk, since they have very little knowledge of that. Um, um, I wouldn't sell them. No, you shouldn't sell them, caveman. No, that's history to be passed on. Um, and I mean, I never kept my. I don't think I kept my Afghan medal. 10 to a dozen, and I have a whole reason for it outside of that. Um, but I'm not the. See, I don't descend. So my grandfather's on my mother's side, obviously, I came through the female line because of my mother. But her brother got the medals of his father, grandfather, great grandfather. But I intend to get miniature copies made, and then I'm going to put my great great grandfather, my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, and then mine, all like miniature replicas, all in line, and hand that to my children. But not until they've in their 20s, and they're too old to join the army. Got a jam. Have a good night. Enjoy your waffles. Or is this the waffle? Good night, Cam. Yeah, so I wouldn't ever sell any medals. Um, there's just too much history attached to it, and um, I just think that holding a piece of history like that and passing that down to your children is a wonderful thing, and not many families get to do it. So I wouldn't. But then again, financial situations, of course, many families have to sell things that they held dear like that. I remember a few times there's been some veterans who've had to sell their medals uh, for financial reasons, as they've struggled, and the community has gotten behind them to support them and make sure they don't sell them. But not everyone's so lucky. I have a combat action ribbon. I do have a Pennsylvania State Medal of Valor. Well, hang on. What is the equivalent of a military medal in Gaelic Ireland? Probably land. um, there's no record. Military sort of reward, sort of medals, acknowledgements, accolades are well attested in Roman history, uh, attested in the Greek world, but not attested in the Irish world. But what we do know is that individuals are granted lands. And I would say Um, that would be your recognition. You also get a nickname. Um, you could be Dennis of the Battles. Um, you may have a couple of poems wrote about you, and a decent obituary when you die in the annals if you uh, are connected to the right family. So, uh, but that would probably be the height of it. Maybe you would be rewarded something by your chieftain, Taoiseach, king, for deeds rendered, but service rendered even, but it's not really recorded. Would they pass down swords or armor in Gilgarn? Um, that's hard to say. I certainly think they would do. Um, you would pass on if you have your father has a sword, you would pass that on. It would make sense to um, pass that on. But I think I think there. Now I'm thinking about. I think there's something in the gallows glass. Um, oh, I'll have to look at this. There's something in the gallows glass sort of lore. Uh, Hang on, let me look about passing stuff on. Um, I'll have to. Let's have a look at this. I'm just going to see. I can't remember. Anyway, yes, but I think there's something the gallows glass are recorded as doing something like that, passing on sort of heirlooms, stuff like that. And we can also see it in families such as the MacLeods. I believe the MacLeods have a sword that's been passed on. Um, so it wouldn't be outside the realms. I don't think there's any swords recorded in Irish history that are passed down. Um, specifically stated as being passed down. And here's the thing you've got to remember about when Irish history is being written. Um, they're often writing it's like a newspaper. But they're writing it with the idea that everyone understands just the daily life of what goes on, what's going on. So a lot of this kind of like normal family knowledge of day-to-day life, what is, we pass on our Victoria Crosses through father to son, we do that, are just not written about because they're not recording for future people to look back on and go, oh, that's how they did things. Because as far as I'm concerned, you will know how they lived their daily lives. You will know what they got up to. You will know their little traditions. You will know normal, social norms, etc. Um, they weren't expecting us to basically change, and they weren't really writing it for future people. They were writing it for the there and now, for a bit of recording. But um, yeah, so these little tidbits don't really get talked about in our records, but I'm pretty sure the McGallaglass do have sort of this lore and history of passing things down. Um, yeah, Trex, Clans of Ireland is a good place to look. Like I say, if you want to message me on Facebook, on the Clans and Dynasties Facebook, I can send you links. Happy to. Um, the Normans granted Welsh soldiers lands in Ireland in reward for their service. They often took the surname Walsh from Barrett. Yes. Um, I have a combat action ribbon. Is that for combat action ribbons? Is that what Americans get whenever they, or American soldiers get when they have seen combat? The British Army doesn't do that. Um, um, Anything like that. So just we don't sort of differentiate between a soldier who was on the front line in Afghanistan and who was in the camp, refueling trucks or manning the radios. There has been talk of it in the past to sort of try and do that, but I think the vast majority of our military is kind of against it, especially our veterans. Our veterans tend to be mostly against it. And a bank robbery, that's wild. We don't really get those over here. Ah, it's class. Well, at least you got something of it. I'm an American airborne sapper veteran, glad to be here. Yeah, I mean, veterans, it's turned into a bit of a veterans night, and it's not normally. But you are welcome here. I am a Northern Irish Catholic from a traditionally very nationalistic family who served in the British Army. Who married an English woman. So I accept all sides or all parts of the community. I don't care who you are. If you're political though, keep it out. That's the only thing is just keep it medieval, or keep it friendly. But that's about it. So you are very welcome. I am from a family of poets too. Yes, yes, you are. They were poets and they knew it. That doesn't really rhyme with the same way as I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Uh, Although I detect sarcasm, I have to advise my disagreement. The Normans were anything but good natured. Nah, nah, not the initial ones, but they softened. They softened over time as the Irish warmed them down, and taught them it didn't need to be so rough. I'm supposed to be going to a reading tonight, but I'm too tired. Don't go then. Did any of you know about the prophecy St. Patrick made about Ireland sinking under the sea? No, no, I'm not aware of it. I'm biased. I'm Norman through my paternal line. The Penn, Lords of the Upper Manor Penn, they held a knight's fee. Yeah, but then again, like I say, look at the Burkes, look at the Butlers, look at the Fitzgeralds. Heavily involved in Irish politics. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse of Ireland. But they are. I would say the Normans are the most Norman families are the most impactful families on politics that would affect the modern nation of Ireland. Um, Far more influential um, than Native Irish families as an overall. It's a very generalized term to be using, but and we know the reason for that is they held the majority of the land and power, and were propped up by the Kingdom of England. But regardless, the nation we have today is thanks to them. Um, if you reckon it's a good nation or not. I'm not on about the politics of today. I'm just on about, it's just its existence. Not all Normans were ethnically Norman. Many were Brits and origins too. Yeah, and Flemish. And not all Normans were Vikings. In 1066, many of them were French families too. Uh, native Normandy French families. It's when the Vikings were granted lands in Normandy. They replaced the vast majority of the political elite, but they didn't replace them all. It's a very similar story to Ireland, basically. So you continue to have smaller gentry families, powerful native French families, um, uh, and they would continue to, for the next sort of 150 years, they would adopt the feudalism, and you would have French families marrying into these Norse families as they died out, and inheriting their lands. It was no different to any, Ireland at all. So yeah, people need to be very careful when they sort of add this overarching term of Norse being Viking and Norse being from Normandy. You have to engage satisfactorily in small arms ground combat to get the combat action ripple. Oh, right. By the British Army, we do that anyway. Satisfactorily. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but been there, done that. The DeLacy's, the DeBarrys, and the DeBurkers were the worst. I love the Burks. I honestly love the Burks. They got really cool later on. I have read Ireland's demise would come after a woman wore slacks. Yeah, see, the thing is that anything a woman does is gonna cause the downfall of any country, and it all stems back to the woman number one. It's just built in days. I'm sorry, you just have to get off the ship, because you're nothing but trouble. Well, from Ulster wasn't the biggest bank robbery in these isles happened there a number of years ago. Yes, it did, but I had nothing to do with that. I certainly wasn't going to stop that. And I was nowhere near there, and you can't prove otherwise. As I sit here with my lovely new computer. Yes, there was a very famous bank robbery. It was just a local group getting their retirement fund sorted. That's all it was. We know Manchester was Norman or strong hint because of the surname Robert Fitz Thurston. The name Thurston is Irish, is Norse, giving it saying he's Norman, but agreed many French settled in England. Yeah, I mean, but again, it's something just to be careful with, because he may have had that name because of a female connection or to one of these local families. So we have similar, like I say, just it mirrors Irish history, mirrors a lot of European history. So, but I would say that yes, it's good enough to build a foundation on, to support the claim anyway. I would certainly sort of leaning to that and sort of agree with it until proven otherwise. That most likely they are of the Norse stock. Yeah, that's what my mother Shipton said, that when women wear pants, the end is near. I've been wearing pants for 100 years. I'm waiting for it. How long until Ireland is, whoa, Ireland is reunited? Whoa. We are talking medieval history here. But I am certainly not going to answer that. by saying probably within the next 2 decades, but not how people of a nationalist persuasion envisage it. I'm certainly not going to say that. Not get involved in politics. uh, Hello, Jim. Hiya. How are we doing? I'm doing good. We've kind of like gone into just general chit chat tonight instead of proper history, but it's been a laugh all the same. Many Normans were just fancy Norms. Your family's from Meath, has a Norse Nugent. Could it be Nugents, Lukey? Purcells, maybe? I'm a mix. My father's side is really English and my mother is really Irish. And it's my father's side that I get my McDonald blood, which I look like all my McDonald cousins. Strong genes. My mom is a McManus. I am a Doyle. My mother is an English Shaw from the north. And I just copy and paste of my dad. And my three boys are just copy and paste of me. And he was just copying my dad was just copy and paste of my grandfather, so another Doyle. So yeah, we have strong genes. They're not really good for much. We're all short, not very stocky. But maybe it was beneficial 1,000 years ago. I don't know. Maybe we don't have enough satisfactory truth, so they give us stickers if we're good. That's brilliant. I would think every British soldier would agree with that statement about the American Army, but it's all in banter. Matthew Rickard, come on, that's too political for here. Far too political. We don't need to be dropping political slogans. This is not the time or the place. And we welcome everyone here who wants to learn about medieval Ireland. We're all interconnected. So we just play nice. Sorry, my phone's dying. Hang on. Oh, hang on. I will come up to you in a bit, Dennis. But someone's asking how long. What century the Welshes spoke Welsh? It wasn't that long. So the common people, so your common Welshman, literally within a couple of generations, had no use for the Welsh tongue. Had no use for. It's the nobility that are always Duolingo, are speaking Irish, are speaking French, or speaking Latin, or speaking, but the common, which the vast majority of the Welshes would have been, the common folk have no need for it. They just need the language of trade. They just need the language of, of alliances, of working with their neighbors. So very quickly they actually would lose the thing. But the thing is that you do get Welsh influences in local areas, the namings of towns, the adoptions of names. So it does have an influence, but like I said, the vast majority of the local level individual, the peasantry, would lose it very, very quickly, because it's no use to them being hundreds of miles away from Wales or from a large population of people that would speak it. I would say that, it would be the equivalents would probably be the uh, Spanish Americans, Mexicans who come across to America, um, within a generation, literally within the first generation, their sons and daughters are speaking English. They know Spanish, but they're speaking English. And the Spanish gets, that's probably a worse equivalence because they're still quite close. And I know a lot of family. Asian Americans would probably be a better example, because they're far removed from their sort of native homeland. You see that it starts to drop off with each generation. But then again, like I say, there were multiple dialects in Ireland. So we have Middle English in Ireland as well. We had, so they may have gone from speaking Welsh to Irish and Middle English. Yeah. So where was that? Who's that? What was Dennis asking me earlier? Where is Dennis's post? He asked me about family, and I can't remember. The Darcys. Anything interesting about the Darcys? I mean, I've got a bit of it. They do have an interesting origin story. They claim descent from Charlemagne, like, and because there's a castle near Paris. I think it's Darcy, but I don't know if that's an abbreviation of the full French word or whatever. Um, but yeah, they have that. That's always been an interesting thing about Darcy. I've never looked into it. I've never looked into when this sort of myth came about. Obviously, you have they're from Meath, but you have the Irish Darcys as well, from Mayo. Uh, um, Sorry. Reading the comment section. Some Americans here said that the North Sea would flood all the surrounding countries after Russia drops a tsunami bomb. It is World War III. Maybe this is what the Saints were referencing. I think that's a little bit too far in the future. I can't imagine St. Patrick thinking about, or St. Columkill talking about it, thinking about a nuke falling from the sky, but not literally, obviously. I know that they wouldn't have, but I think end of days prophecies have been recorded since the beginning of time, and none of them come to fruition. Yeah, you're good to not put names on the internet, Lukey. There's a lot of weirdos in my chat. I'm only joking. How's the Facebooking going for you? I recently rejoined after 15 years. It's going well. Had a couple of days off the other day. I tend not to post if I'm going live or if I'm busy, but for the most part, I'm getting decent posts out. If Michael put up with me and my backward comments and questions, he'll put up with anyone. Look, to be honest, Jim, and all of you here, you put up with me. It's the other way around. Enjoyed your article on the Ornoch. Fair play, you're very good at the history time. Thank you very much. It was an absolute so and so to write, because I didn't want it to come across as my true feelings of being very. It's screaming at you all. It's propaganda, but it still came out that way. I couldn't tone it down. I left Facebook and Instagram instantly. Became 100% smarter in an instant. You can quit again too. Um, I gave up my personal account on. I have kept my personal account on Facebook and Instagram, but only um, so that maybe I can comment on something from a friend or family, and as a way of reaching me. But I do not peruse it. And my Clans and Dynasties news feed, is purely history. Now, don't get me wrong, Facebook likes to throw the most horrible AI generated, non sourced material at me that makes me want to scream and punch my phone. But I know Philip likes to have his angry tangents. So um, I just forward them to him. He can go for it. Uh, the Welsh are okay, but they make fun of the Scottish a lot. Well, I mean, to be fair, they owned Scotland first. Most of the Welsh in Ireland who later became Welsh or Bright came from the Kingdom of Diffid in the southwest of Wales. The reason being they were close to Pembrokeshire. Yeah, we've sort of spoke about this before. Fat Controller, a lot of the first um, groups of Welshmen, the first wave. Now you've got to remember that the this Welsh migration into Ireland doesn't happen with the initial wave, and it happens generational. It's happening all the time during Norman rule, during their connections to England. Not only that, but it's also going back the other way as well. So Welsh colonies are setting up in Ireland, but they're also failing. And actually, a lot of the families who came across with the first wave, um, most of them went back to Wales um, with the initial invasion of Ireland in 1169. Actually, most Walshes will have come in the uh, subsequent following ones um, over centuries, because the initial Norman colonies in Ireland failed. Um, and not only that, but a lot of these ones that came across with the 1169 invasion um, were kind of not expecting to probably stay anyway. They were doing their service, their 30 days, and then they would have headed back home. You probably would have found that then um, many would join up afterwards with the possibility of gaining land. Hi, Patricia. I hate descent from Charlemagne. Everyone and their cousin is descended from him. Yes, but I think the Darcy's claim is much older than a fact that we all are genetically related to Charlemagne. I believe this was a specific, you know, um, we were given our castle by Charlemagne because we were related to him, rather than some millions of ways, I'm related to him, but I have no idea. Here's the interesting thing, actually. This is a point I've raised before, and I don't know if I've raised it online. Is that we are all interconnected. No, like nobles and royal families are not special. So the British monarchy is not special. The nobles of the UK are not special. We all descended from these exact same individuals that they are, um, uh, especially in antiquity and in the medieval period. But even then, you still have family members and people that would be related. The only thing that makes them stand out is they have supposedly the paperwork to prove the line of descent. And that's the only thing that sort of makes them stand out. And even then, we all know how families like to rewrite them, but that is the only thing that differentiates them from us. They hold the piece of paper that points their place in the puzzle. Because a lot of the families aren't even rich or wealthy or have any land anymore, so they don't even have that. North Wales hate the South Welsh. I don't know how long that goes. You got to remember the South Welsh have been sort of colonized by England for a very long time, and still to this day, most of South Wales is just most of North Wales is just second homes for English people. But yeah, I think, but then that's no different to any other country, But the Northern English hate the Southern English. God, my great grandfather hated people from the South with a passion. I understand that the name Ward is on a monument in Ulster. Curious about that. I do not know. But if it is, it's probably this family, the Wards of Castle Ward, from where the Savage is. They're actually right here. You can see Castle Ward. It's actually the location where they filmed Winterfell in Lord of the Rings. I'm obviously getting tired. But they will film Winterfell, House of the Starks in Game of Thrones. They were quite a prominent landholding family. I believe they got their lands through services. They are an English family, not like the Macam Wards or Macam Verds from Donegal, who is now anglicised to Ward. So I would say that the Ward in Ulster is probably related to them, but it's possible. But I do not know about the statue. I'm sorry. I thought I had Habsburg, but it looks like someone faked the parentage. It happens. Although, surprisingly, the argument is at the minute, again, going off my earlier statements about DNA and how I don't really take it. I take it with a massive pinch of salt. But Irish families tend to have only 1 or 2%, no 2%. No, 1%, sorry, 1 or 2%, non-paternal event, or so where a father isn't the supposed father for whatever reason, whether that be due to violence, due to affairs, etc., or adoption, per generation, which is, I believe, the lowest out of UK and Ireland through history. It only has a 1 or 2% per generation chance of there being a non-paternal event. So far, obviously, that could change. I think England has the highest one. Bois d'Arcy is an area of Paris where in Versailles. Just Google it. It's super interesting. See, I'm glad you found it interesting. I couldn't remember the full name. I don't look at French castles. But yes, see, Dennis, I'm glad I could give you something interesting. Or lead you to it, should I say. I can't take all the credit. You had to Google the place outside Paris, but oddly enough, the hatred of only between the North and South Welsh, neither of them have a problem with the West Welsh. I think it goes back to post-Roman period. It would be interesting to see how long these rivalries go back. I mean, technically, our Ulster rivalry with with the rest of Ireland goes back to the Bronze Age. If you take the Tambacooly as verbatim, most of the British wealth came from theft. So did most of the Irish wealth, to be fair. We had a long tradition of raiding each other's cattle. um, I have family in Wales, although I don't think it's classed as Wales, in Monmouth. But being downstream of a direct lineage can be special. Yes, it can be special, but what I'm trying to just, no, I'm not trying to say. I think it can be special and should be celebrated, but it shouldn't be used as a stick to beat others down, which, and it certainly shouldn't be used to elevate anyone. Uh, um, Can you talk about the known locations of the O'Gallaghers and the McKeegans? Yeah, I can do. So the Gallaghers, depending on your pronunciation, I believe Americans emphasize the G, whereas in Ireland we tend not to. But the Gallaghers are part of the Kennel Connell. They're related to the O'Donnells. They do have a history where they sort of claim descent, or like it's claimed because it means like um, descendant of the foreign hired soldier, foreign soldier, something like that. Uh, so they, but I believe that it's not true. That basically what historians tend to think is that they are hired soldiers, but they're just hired from another place within the Tyrconnell kingdom. Therefore, being given um, that nickname or that name by the locals in the area or adopting it. So most likely they are related to the wider Tyrconnell sort of kingdom, whether genetically to the actual O'Donnells is DNA's ballpark, but they certainly claimed it, and they certainly held positions that reflect it. But they are found in Donegal, and they are also found. They weren't scared to traverse down into Mayo either. So you find them in Connacht too in large numbers. Um, um, so that's the O'Gallagher's. The McKeegans is well, they're mostly associated with the Yavina down here. So again, they will claim they like all the other Yavina families. They'll also claim descent from the Eponus ancestor, me more, and all the other stuff that goes with it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But they certainly claimed it. But they are Brehons. They are scholars or judges, and I believe they actually weren't just Brehons of the Yavina. They also would move around. They were noted in other sort of courts, etc. So yeah, they're sort of found in that sort of political atmosphere, being primarily Brehons to the O'Kellys, though. Well, other families had the papers of descent until Cromwell burned them. Well, I mean, to be fair, we go on about our records, but if any of you read clan sort of warfare in Scotland, God, they really had a thing for burning each other's records. Really had a thing for it. I read somewhere where I have 3 million stolen acres that belong to the O'Neills in Northern Ireland. That would be interesting. The records. See, here's the thing: we know who was given the lands, but we rarely know who the land was taken off. And it's often you will find that whenever they explain, sometimes they will mention the Clanny Bui, Clan de Boy O'Neills, but that's not specifically that it was taken from him. It could have been taken from another group that was under him. So yeah, I would say that that's a very generous number. But I certainly will. I have a plan to do a video on the plantation of Ulster, but I've most of the scripts are written, but I have to be very careful with it because it's so politically charged. And I certainly will mention numbers. The French have a serious infidelity problem. They do. That is, I no, I hate to just spit out information that I'm not fully educated on, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that they're not allowed to have paternity tests because the government doesn't allow paternity tests because or DNA tests or something like that because they are aware of the infidelity rates. Uh, uh, the English did not get most of their wealth from Fest. They did. They did. But it's what you regard as theft. It's banking's theft to some people. Landlording is theft to some people. So the English did get much of our, but it depends what you define as that. I mean, if you ask an Englishman from any time period, they are well within the rights of the law. Just so happens to be English law, and that's for anywhere. It's for any. It's not just like against the Irish, and they are, and that's not to even paint the English in a bad light, because they're not the only ones at it. And the Irish were forever in the 16th, 17th century, 16th century, trying to straddle the line of using English law to defend their rights against the English. English law to defend the rights against other Irishmen who were trying to use Irish law, to gain kingdoms and stuff. So, yeah, it's just human nature. Bloodlines do matter. No, they don't. They really don't. We're so interconnected. I mean, and obviously your immediate family matters for a multitude of reasons, like not marrying them. I'm looking at certain parts of America. No, I'm joking. But no, it's nonsense. Blood is just water and white blood cells, and you know it's nothing. What comes with it? What is important is not genetics, and I think step families and stuff like that prove that. I just don't. I don't think it's that important. It's interesting, certainly interesting, and that's where you have to differentiate. There is a difference between interesting and important, and the level of importance you attribute to it as well. It's important to you as an individual, certainly, but it shouldn't be important to a nation. It shouldn't be important to politics. It shouldn't be important to uh, anything but you as an individual and maybe your immediate family or your cousins or whatever. And as you get further out from that, it should become less important as a wider thing. And the fact that things like ethnicity and stuff like that get brought into modern day politics is just, and stuff like that. It just baffles me. If you look at the muster lists and such, you will find gents with surnames like O'Neill. It seems most of the land was taken post Cromwell. Right, yeah, so in the 17th century, I've looked at the muster lists. If you look at the many O'Neill cadet branches during the plantation of Ulster were granted lands. And, there's this argument online about, the O'Neills stripped of their lands. No, the main O'Neills were. The main O'Neills were stripped of their land. But many cadet branches were granted lands. Seems like there are 2 enlisted children in each generation of my lineage. I mean, I know of one, although it doesn't affect me. It's a great uncle, but it's a horrible story. Even God says bloodlines matter. I mean, but that's your God, and if someone told me that Krishna doesn't care about bloodlines, then who's right? It doesn't matter. It can matter to you. That's fine. That's what I said. Keep it within the family, not literally. But don't apply it to the world. Don't apply it to nations. Don't apply it to politics. Don't apply it to history. Apart from so in depthly. Like I say, do apply it because it's interesting. I like to know where I'm come from. I like to know who my ancestors are. Am I going to hate as a McDonald? Am I going to hate the Campbells? No. Because of their blood, You were born knowing certain things based on the lives of your ancestors. Yeah, that's genetic coding. It's why we know not to step on snakes, pick up spiders and eat them. But I don't think it's quite as literal. But that's me. This is me, by the way, guys. This is not me saying you should not do this. Do whatever you like. This is my mindset. You're getting a peek. What ticks between these ears? Although they are eventually forced to go on a wee trip to Connacht. Are you talking about the O'Neills again? Yeah. Now, and adopted the surname Johnson. Some of them did as well. But many people who went to Connacht actually came back. They came back to their sort of ancestral lands. The only difference is they were now tenants rather than landholders. Like I say, I mean, I'm not going to say about genetics and this brings the talk back into full circle that I do not know anything about genetics, and I do not know the science behind it. I certainly do not know the religious ideologies behind it from all religions. um, because none of those are important to me. The only time I would reach out into those sort of areas of learning is if I wish to know more about a specific family, specific thing at the time. Um, they certainly never appear on my radars as important. If I find out that, I'm not a Doyle, that you know, some O'Neill had, you know, snuck into my great grandmother's room one night, it wouldn't change my opinion about anything. But I know to some people it's important, and I suppose my whole channel is built on it being in some part being built, being important. But um, I certainly don't mind people being interested in it, and like I say, on a personal level, run with it, enjoy it. But it's just my disagreement with it is when it reaches levels where it can affect other people who don't believe in it, and that's like politics. And when we start thinking about things like eugenics and ethnicities and who belongs where, I just think it just tying our relationship to a specific area, because our families have been here 50 years, thousands of years, therefore making our claims more important. I just feel it's not a good place to be, and it's not true to human nature. But we won't dwell on it too much. The fact that your friend jokes about his ancestors' disgraceful or cowardly actions at Glencoe shows he's a true Campbell. But you're attributing uh, something that happened. How many Campbells were there? 23? 23 Campbells were at Glencoe. Not every Campbell was descended from that line. And how many McDonald's had descendants that were from that line? And how many just weren't part of those McDonald's at all? It's just, there's a million McDonald's in Ireland who are from totally unrelated Irish families and Campbell's, and so that's the problem with that idea of thinking. No, for the record, I said, yes, you did. No, I'm not saying you said eugenics. I said eugenics. I'm not saying, Tom, you said that. But I'm just saying in general. That was me saying epigenics and eugenics. I was just saying in generalized terms of I don't agree with these sort of ideas and these links to these sort of ways of thinking. And which is why I never said that you said any of the things. I will never say that an individual said this unless I am reading verbatim. It was the crimes the Campbells committed. They persecuted the McGregors out of existence. They were bullies. In the it's just family feuding. It literally every family has had this. It was just normal clan warfare, normal feudalism. It's nothing to get bent out of shape for. My DNA says you're a Walsh. You could be anything, so go have a beer. That's what DNA should say. Pre-plantation Irish Campbells in Down in Donegal. 100% correct. They're also down in Galway too. Not Galway, Limerick. A leopard doesn't change its spots. Hasn't the leopard spots changed over over millennia because of. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere when someone said that, and they went, actually, leopard spots has changed over. I need to Google this. The leopard's spots ever changed? Yes. Yeah. The evolutionary time. Yeah. So I know this is just, but I remember someone said a leopard never changes spots, and someone wrote, anyway, well, leopards have spots have changed over evolutionary time. So, but it's irrelevant. Anyway, epigenetics is how proteins attach to DNA as a form of generational memory triggered by trauma, generational memory. Very good. But they still have spots. Yeah, but you didn't say that. This says they don't change them. If you said the leopards always have spots. But look, we're alleviating from the original thing. The original. I can't even say we're going away from the original this video, because we have diverged wholly and solely to the left. Like I'm right. I have no idea where we even started. Yeah, so I'm not going to but we are coming to the end of this live. Before I end up saying things that get me cancelled, before you guys say anything that gets you banned. Don't worry, I won't ban anyone unless it's you are just out and out racist, rude, or aggressive. But these are all old hands anyway, so we're all good. But yeah, it's coming to 11 o'clock. They were traders who sided with the crown when it suited them. All families did this. The Bruces worked with the crown. It's just, McGregor, the Wallaces. Wallace fought for King Edward before he became a sort of independence. It's just we shouldn't generalize so broadly. I'm a trader. Apparently, I joined the British Army. It's did the St. Ledgers do anything bad in Ireland? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. They were in Kilkenny, so Butler territories. They were the Barons of Bargy, so they didn't get that for nothing. But I know that I don't know if the St. Ledger was of the Irish branch or Irish related, but they were. I will say that they did do one bad thing, and that they are the architects of the surrender and regrant of Henry VIII. But I don't know if that's an Irish branch or an English branch of St. Ledger. They are the architects behind the surrender and regrant that Henry VIII would then implement in Ireland. So I will say that. Anyway, we are in classical. I think we you always tell me because I can't pronounce it. Ecclesiastical. I think we said a lot of the non-international views, intentional views. Yes. You would have had your own feuding because the Cord families and the Erna families would have feuded with each other about the rights of the church, etc. So, but I would imagine it was probably a little bit less bloody. Anyway, right, I'm going to end it here because we're over the 2 hour mark. Really interesting. Fact Controller, have you emailed me yet? I need to check that. I haven't been in emails for about 2 weeks. If you have, I'm sorry I haven't got back to you. I will get back to you. If you haven't, don't worry about it. No rush. Um, the But thanks very much for making this the most random live I've ever had. uh, um, this was not where I expected this evening to go with the conversations. We've talked about genetics. We talked about military, modern military. We've talked about absolutely everything, with a few families thrown in between. Um, uh, no, I need to get around it. Don't you worry about it, Factor. Just whenever you can. Do not stress, but I appreciate it all the same. But yes, thanks. Good night. Presto, thanks again. Um, uh, Look up the new. Yeah, I've seen. I've done the Campbell history. I've got a video on them. I know all they do. I know exactly what they did. um, But anyway, Sheehan, thanks again. Appreciate it. Have a good one. No, you have a good one too. Thanks very much, guys. Good night, Caveman. I will see you all. I will see you all on. I won't see you this Saturday. I will not see you this Saturday. I am away this weekend. So I will see you all next Saturday. But take care now.